might be expecting. Oh my god, it's the video. I thought we were going to be talking about. I don't know. Well, today we're going to be talking about it. So don't get your hopes up. I don't know. Whatever. Basically, this video is about lore of what happened to the OG map. And the most questionable idea, why did we have to use a portal to get out? Why couldn't we just go up the mountain in the first place? Well, I'm going to be explaining that now. Oh, mama, that was funny. Okay, so today we're going to be... Well, first, let's take the details. Now, look at this thing. What do you see that's happened in this photo? Well, obviously, you can see the wall has broken a ton, and there's tons of ice coming out of it. Also, if we can look up from the area we just came from, you can see that the whole mountain has kind of collapsed recently, because it used to be a whole waterfall, as we saw. Which makes us wonder, what happened that was so bad that caused everything to break? And what could be the purpose, and who did this? Well, I've got a few ideas, and my explanation on why it's broke. Now, okay, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I couldn't find any photos of the lake, of the original lake, so I had to take this. Now, if you look up there, you can see, obviously there was a mountain up there at once, but we never got to see it. So, there was a giant waterfall up there if you were to use a rocket up there. Now, I think, that the dam somehow broke or flooded. And I think that there were multiple maps at the time before, obviously, the gorillas took over. And I'll talk about that in a separate video. But for now, I'm going to talk about how the dam has been broken and how it was broken. Now, obviously, we know how the dam kind of broke a while ago, as we used a portal, but we don't know why we used the portal. Okay. The map changed less than a year ago. During the summertime, it was there, obviously, but no one knew why it was so important. But then we realized it was almost time for September, or the time you call wet time. And so, we have to use a portal to escape before the dam broke. We see that in the last photo. Bring it up again. And so, how do you think this happened? And why do you think we had to use a portal? Well, obviously, we didn't have access to the other maps nowadays. Obviously, Office wasn't very accessible, because Office was not only an underground area we see from not only in the quests, but it was everywhere. It was everywhere. But for some reason, it was a separate part, other than the giant factory, obviously. The giant factory was its own place. Probably the thing that's sending tons of new information to the company, to Canopy, or other sources like L3 Energy or Nutcorp. Nutcorp is still around, obviously, because it didn't have any involvement of L3 Energy or Canopy. And what kept it from shutting down and causing probably the most mass extinction of all gorillas is because Nutcorp kind of split away from Canopy a long time ago, after the Canopy cases, if you count that as actual lore. We obviously know that the Canopy cases has been around for a little while, but we know that it takes place before Animal Colony came out, obviously, because back then, animals or gorillas were the main animals back then. They controlled Canopy and many others, but now it's only the devs, which we know are monsters, and the factory has been shut down for centuries now. So we wonder, why did NutCorp survive, and why did NutCorp practically keep the map alive before the dam broke? Well, NutCorp was actually the one hosting the portal. And the reason it was so important is because the vents, obviously, we know from the new dam map, or the original dam map, is what kept us. I mean, there was a giant cruise ship, if we look in the new map, or the new cruise ship place, with the lake. We see a lot to do with that. Well, something is wrong. Why would we need to use a portal? I know I said that question many times, so let's just get on to it. Obviously, NutCorp knew that Canopy was sending something from inside of the quest, or what we like to call the skeleton vents, out after them, as the vents was a main part of Canopy back then, as we can see. It kind of controlled the entire, we can obviously see that it had the whole reactor down there, because there was tons of thousands of pipes and holding reactors. It was also where the sewers and Canopy collided, because obviously L3 Energy controlled the sewers, and L3 Energy and Canopy worked together a long time before the massacre. And following with Canopy's rules, the brain map was hid from anyone to touch, and he knew that because of what happened, NutCorp had to get out of there quickly, because they were currently in the investigation for the people who found out about the Canopy cases. So they used the portal so that it'd trick off Canopy, and by putting their name on it, would make Canopy think that they're still in the building, and that they were using the controller, or teleporter. Now, I know you think I'm crazy, but it's actually a really cool idea. And if we think that every single map we've gone through is a part of this massive shut-off area from other human life, then we can expect that everything I just said is true. Obviously, we've been in the Snow Giant Mountain map, we've been in the original map, and we've been in the first ever redone, the remake map. And we've seen from all those maps that they're all connected. They've all used to be in things. And when Canopy first shut down, L3 Energy was still in the works. It was still the biggest thing ever. But L3 Energy stopped because the monsters, obviously. And because of his death. Or the company leader's death. Because of his abusive father, that we learn in Chapter 2. Is what caused him to kill the Canopy leader. And quite literally make the most hungry, bloodthirsty monster ever. And after we learn about most of this, we start to think, I want to learn more about this. Well, I'm going to make a new video about this. And we're going to talk about the other maps, the cruise ship, and just L3 Energy and Canopy all together. But now that I've told you everything you ever need, see you guys later.